Hey, thanks for stopping by. It's Cold Stare, and in this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know about completing the Assassination Rogue Mage Tower Challenge. Here's a quick look at the transmogs that you earn for completing the challenge, the Fang Slayer's armor. This is a reskin of the mythic Tomb of Sargeras rogue set. To reach the Mage Tower, you're going to need to head to the Legion version of Dalaran, and from there you're going to fly down to the Broken Shore, right here where I've marked on the map. Once there, you're going to head to Deliverance Point, where you're going to find an NPC named War Counselor Victoria. And once there, go ahead and speak with her, and she will teleport you into the Assassination Rogue Challenge, and it doesn't matter what spec you show up in the game, she'll always put you into the appropriate scenario. Now, a quick look at the consumables. If you're watching this in the future, just use whatever is recommended for Assassination at the time. This is all pretty standard if you do any kind of Mythic Plus or rating, though. The God Queen's Fury is a council-style fight, which means there's multiple bosses, each with their own unique mechanics we need to manage. So let's begin with Sigrun here. She's occasionally going to cast Blood of the Father, and we need to use Blind to interrupt that. Because if we don't, as you'll see in this clip, it will almost certainly one-shot you, as it's a very hard-hitting, pulsing fire damage. The Rune Seer will also occasionally cast Ancestral Knowledge. This is a very long cast, has to be interrupted, but we can only kick once we've gotten through this shield that's around him. Shiv is a good way to get through the shield quickly, and if you find you can't get through it quickly enough to interrupt him, go and use Cloak of Shadows. The Jarl is occasionally going to cast Blade Storm, and this is a really hard-hitting spell that causes physical damage. And the best way to interrupt it is just using Kidney Shot every time. There's also an environmental mechanic that we need to be aware of. It's called Dark Wings, and Sigrun's going to summon this Phalanx of Valkyries, and you don't have a lot of time, so you need to quickly locate the opening in the line and run to it, because if it hits you, it's going to be a one-shot. Right, well, let's get into the actual encounter. So like I said earlier, this is a council fight, so we need to be in an AoE build. And our whole goal in this is to keep them as close together as we can. So you're often going to need to kick the Rune Seer to keep him into melee range here. We want them all stacked tight together, and we want to be very aggressive here. Our kill target is the Jarl, but we are cleaving all the way through. I'm going to recommend that you use your drums, your pots, Deathmar, Kingsbane, everything here. This is our biggest burst damage window of the entire fight. As this fight goes on, it's going to continue to punish you and get harder and harder. This is very much a survival and DPS race. As you can see here, they're taking a lot of damage already, and that's what we want. That's why we want to keep them close together and really keep that cleave going. Your priority is going to be to keep Crimson Tempest and as many bleeds and poisons on them as you can. There's going to be times you have to run away from them, and some bleeds or poisons are going to fall off. That's just how it is. And that's because the Jarl is occasionally going to enrage, and we can't just sit there and face tank him when he does that. We do have to kite him a little bit, like right now he's chasing after us. You'll see that the Rune Seer occasionally puts these runes on the ground. We need to run over those to make them disappear, or they'll detonate and one-shot you. Always aim for the smallest one first, because that's one that's going to detonate first. We need to avoid the axes that the Jarl's throwing in a circle around us. Feint is a really good defensive that we should use a lot in this fight. The green puddles on the ground, of course, hurt. Try to avoid those as best you can. Now you'll see the Valkyrie here occasionally flies down and puts right down on the play space a little Orb of Valor. That's a free heal, so try and keep your eye out for that. So what makes this encounter such a big DPS check, in addition to being a survival challenge, is that the longer this encounter goes on, the more it's going to punish you, because all the mechanics are going to begin to ramp up and overlap with each other. And you'll eventually reach a point you just can't react to everything quickly enough. That's the DPS check part of it, and that's why we're tunneling the Jarl the whole time. In addition to our cleave damage, we're using all our cooldowns on the Jarl, because we're actually not killing all three of them to succeed at this challenge. We're just bringing down the Jarl and the Rune Seer. Once the Rune Seer is nearly dead, that's when Sigrun will snap out of it, and the encounter will finish, and she'll begin a dialogue. So as far as talents go, there's really no point in me showing what I use, because within the span of one patch, it could be obsolete, totally changed. So what I would recommend you do is just go to your preferred website, Wowhead, Icy Veins, whatever, build your own. Just make sure you have a good, strong AoE cleave build. Now you may notice there, I used Vanish to activate the Indiscriminate Carnage talent point to get the AoE bleed activation. Don't be afraid to do that, because it's not going to, as you see here, it's not going to reset the encounter or anything like that. So go ahead and use Vanish on cooldown to help keep those bleeds rolling on as many targets as possible. You do not have to play Assassination perfectly for this. Like I said, there's going to be times you have to kite, you have to run away for the runes, whatever. Bleeds are going to fall off. You do not have to play Assassination perfectly. Keep Crimson Tempest rolling. Keep Garrote on as many targets as you can. Use your cooldowns on the Jarl, and you're going to be just fine. But yeah, here it is. We're finally at the end. It's not a long encounter. It's just a fast-paced one with a lot going on. If you don't think you can do it, if you're new to this and it feels overwhelming, just every pull you come in, try and get a little bit farther, a little bit farther. If you find you're getting really frustrated, just take a break. You're eventually going to get it. Here's the damage breakdown if you want to check that out. Also, don't immediately leave the instance. Wait until Secret has to do some RP dialogue with Ayer here, and I don't know if you leave too early if you don't get credit, because it takes a little while for the achievement to pop up. So wait till you've got that before you leave. That would be awful if you left a little too early. So if you want, after this, I'm going to show you what gear I had on. If you want to stick around and watch that, that's cool. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. Good luck, and I will see you in Azeroth. Right, so here's a quick look at the gear I had. The trinkets were pretty good. Mad Queen's Mandate is probably my favorite trinket from this expansion. Really good for these kind of solo challenges, Zekvi or whatever. Set bonus is deactivated along with legendaries. Item level caps at 120 because this is time walking. If you want to go down the rabbit hole of min-maxing, getting old gear with lots of gem sockets, feel free to. I never do. I think it's just a matter of learning the fight and then you'll get it. But otherwise, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.